You are listening to the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast, my favorite podcast to listen to on long flights across the galaxy.
This is the way.
We're wanted men.
Welcome to episode 195 of the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast, your favorite Star Wars podcast for smugglers in the galaxy. I'm Glenn. It's Jason with me over there. And whenever we don't record for a week, I always feel off when we start recording again. It's like, what do I do? What do I do with my hands?
But, it doesn't matter on a podcast.
But we do still do video, but it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. We only get like 10 people watching the videos.
If we're lucky.
It's like, who wants to watch us on a video? How you doing, Jason?
Good. How are you?
Yeah.
I had to move downstairs because the missus is sleeping still. So
yeah. Well, soon you won't have to worry about that.
Right.
Yeah.
My oldest will be moving out, and then my youngest will be moving into the oldest, and then the office will be moving into the youngest, where I'll have a permanent podcast space, and it doesn't matter what time we record because the space will always be available.
Well, that just depends on if your wife, if Shannon's doing homework or something. But then you just tell her to be quiet. You're recording.
Yeah, go do homework downstairs, dining room table.
How was your week, man? A couple of weeks.
I was still trying to get back into the swing of things. With Memorial Day and going out, we went to Universal Studios, which is something I probably should talk about. But then we came back, and then in a couple of weeks I'm going back on vacation. So it's like after
like
Rogue
me
Fun,
in
I've just kind of felt like I can't get back into a groove because it's just a different groove every week.
Right. Yeah, that's what we were talking about yesterday at the meetup. Because leading up to Rogue Fun, we had talked almost every day between you, me, and Orion, and then like the week after Rogue Fun, it was radio silence from everybody, and I was like, "What did I do? Did I make somebody mad? I miss my friends."
No, just reclaiming our space.
Right? Yeah, it's been a weird. It's the dynamics definitely different after Rogue Fun, but it's not in a bad way. We're just like you said, relearning everything.
I think
Uh-oh.
I'm just
What are you doing?
I'm just propping the computer up a little bit higher.
Oh, okay.
Being a
it's an earthquake.
No, it's not. I'm happier. Hi. That's better. Anyways, Universal Studios was fun. I had made the mistake. So I can't remember if I talked about this or not, but my brother and I we're trying to do it in April. We were trying to meet up because he lives in Miami and I live in Atlanta, and we were trying to meet up and hit Universal at some point in April. And obviously we can't go closer to the end of April because that's close to Rogue Fun, and my time is directed elsewhere. And we decided on May 24th or 25th, which I was like, oh, that sounds great, thinking that the next following weekend would be Memorial Day. Because as a theme park professional, I understand that there are certain days that you don't go to theme parks. One of them being Memorial Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Those are days you want to avoid. Spring break, another day to avoid, or another week to avoid. But then Memorial Day is one of those. And I didn't realize until like the week of. Did you freeze?
Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm just turning
all
my notifications off.
The week of that, it was Memorial Day weekend, and I'm like, I just committed like sin number one. Like, one of the things you don't do is go on Memorial Day. But with that said, I was shocked because the lines were pretty short. Like, Velocicoaster was 45 minutes.
Wow.
The longest line we had to wait for was Hagrid's, which was about an hour, and that was just because it was early entry and everybody was going there.
Right. And that Haggard, an hour long line in Haggard is nothing. That's normally a 2 hour wait for Haggard's.
Right.
And it's worth it, even a 2 hour wait is worth every minute for that ride.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was the odd man out and I got a single rider with me, and then my daughters were behind me in the back. And then my son, my wife, my brother and his son, they got the front car of the next train. So they got to sit up front, and
That
they got off the ride and they were like, there's no way you could ride that any other way than being up front.
we last time I rode it, my when we got to the front, my son was counting cars and he's like, I think we're we up front. I was like, no way. He's like, yeah, I think we're gonna have the front car. And compare when you ride the front car on Haggard's versus in the middle, it's a totally different experience because there's nobody in front of you. You're catching all the wind off of it. And I mean, I've never ridden a motorcycle, but I mean, it's as close as you're going to get to riding a motorcycle.
Hmm.
Uh, and he was kind of like, oh man, because it goes up 1 point, and he's like, that point's going to be crazy, but you're up there, and you're about the time you're like, oh man, we're high up, it drops back down. Uh, but yeah, Haggard's Velocicoaster and Guardians, the best coasters, I think. They're it's like a one A two, one ABC in my book, because they're all have their own. They're all different, but they're all incredible. What you think of Velocicoaster?
Yeah, I think that was a one and doneer. Same thing with the Hulk. I don't know if I was just coastered out when I did the Hulk because it was the last ride I did. I don't know if the G-force was forcing my eyelids closed or if I had blacked out for the briefest of moments because there's a lot of force pushing against you in the Hulk. And I don't know if I'm just getting too old and it's like time to hang up the roller coaster hat. But Velocicoaster, I was not prepared for. I
Mhm.
didn't realize that 70% of the time you are not in your seat and
I warned you, man.
all you have is a lap bar. There's no shoulder strap. And I mean, I watched it afterwards. I didn't pay any attention to the ride getting into line, but I did see that there is a section of track that is completely upside down. And again, all you have is the lap bar. And I know forces are working to push you back. So it's like even if the lap bar wasn't there, you're not going to fall out unless the roller coaster completely stops. And in that section, there's actually water. And I don't know if they did that on purpose.
Mhm.
So if the worst were to happen and people were to fly off, there's a probability of survival because they're splashing in the water. I don't know, but the first, you get launched up and there's a hill, and the first hill I had my hands up because I'm like, oh, roller coasters, hands up, and I started getting pushed sideways, and so the next thing I know, I'm like on the side of half of my body is leaning out of the car,
Mhm.
and I'm like, this isn't right. And so I put my
Right.
hands down and I held onto that lap bar, and I was just not prepared for the lack of zero G that I experienced on that ride.
Yeah, I would like to ride now that I've talked to you. Because if I was the same way the first time I rode Velocicoaster. You're like, oh man, there's lap bars. I didn't must have not sat down right when they put the lap bar down, so it didn't latch right. Because I've had that happen. You ever been to Six Flags and it's a spaceship or the pirate ship that flips?
Yeah.
That'll it'll go up and left and right, and all of a sudden it'll flip. When I was a teenager, one of my buddies was like, don't let it lock in real good, and it'll be a crazy ride, and you're coming out of your seat. So I didn't know if that had happened where I didn't lock in right. But long story short, if I know now, knowing that that's part of the ride, I would like to ride it again and not freak out, because I
Yeah.
was scared. You're like, oh, I'm gonna fall out of this thing, and you're worried. Like, I've got to get back and hold myself down in my seat and freak out. So yeah, Velocicoaster, there's nothing like it. I mean, you get from the pre-show all the way to the everything. I think it's a really cool coaster.
I I have a friend that works at Disney in security, and I've heard stories that when he first started at the company 20 years ago, they might have like 4 fights a month,
Mhm.
but lately it's like 4 fights a day.
Oh, geez.
Tempers are flaring at the parks. People are tired. They're wasting. They're spending a lot of money. They want to make the most of it. I mean, just tempers in general across the country in the U.S. are high, and it doesn't take a lot for people to uh have their fuse lit and to spark. so to speak. And I
Right.
knew that going to Universal Studios. And we get it there at, like 7:40, and we are with everybody else who's staying on property and getting in early. And there's a long line. And so we're backed up, we're waiting in line, we're talking, we're trying to figure out. So it's just a stressful experience, especially someone who likes order. And
Right.
so to have this mob kind of lob into these lines and the lines just kind of form on their own, I just prefer order. I wish there were stanchions, get in line here. You can't cut in front of people. Get in line here. And so it's a stressful experience. It was already hot that morning. And we get to the part where they scan your ticket, and we are the next person. And this woman cuts in front and just sticks her ticket out in front of us. She comes up from behind.
Hmm.
So she skipped everybody in line, and then she gets in front of me and just puts the ticket out in front of the ticket taker. And she's on her phone talking to someone, and she looks at me and she's like, "I'm sorry." And I said, "Are you really?" Because there was no evidence that she was sorry. She didn't explain anything. She didn't talk to me and say, "Hey, this is the situation." It was just an entitlement of, "I'm cutting in front of you." It felt like a scam to me because she's on her phone and she, like the whole like, "I can't talk to you right now. I'm on the phone, whatever."
Right.
And like, "I can't make time for you because I'm on the phone." And she just like I'm about to step forward almost, and I just want to make sure people understand. Like I'm about to step forward to scan my ticket, and her hand comes out in front of me from behind,
That's yeah. No.
and I'm sitting there thinking like I shouldn't have said that because I know my friend says the tempers are hot and people are getting in fights all the day, and it's not my intention to start my day getting into a fight with someone. And the woman said something like, "I'm an annual pass holder. This is my third time," and she scanned and left. And I'm just sitting there like I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. Come to find out later in the day. Because my brother was behind me and I had the kids between me and my brother. She like linebacked, shouldered him like a linebacker. She just like slammed into him, paying no attention to him, and just cut into the front. And I'm just like, I'm so sick and tired of the entitlement of people. Like,
Right.
I'm sorry. Like, it would have been fine if she had a conversation. Look, I'm so sorry. This is my third time. I'm having troubles with my passes. I just went to the front desk. They said to rescan it. It would have been fine.
Hmm.
But it was just the entitlement of like, no, I'm here first. I'm an annual pass holder. I'm better than you. Where I didn't feel so bad anymore for calling her out for saying I'm sorry because I did feel disingenuous.
Right. No, I could say, I think you did the right thing, just saying, hey, you didn't say, hey, man, or F you, or you're just like, oh yeah, whatever, lady, and you kind of let it
I
go.
called her
You
out on her
called her.
dishonesty.
Right, exactly. And but yeah, that's the way they do Disney too. When they do rope drop, and it's the same way at Universal. It's basically a cattle call, and everybody's standing there. It's a big group of people, and I know because when I did Disney, I mean, granted, I was in the front, but I was by myself. And when you're by yourself, you're excusing yourself, but you're weaving your way through the crowd because you want to try to get up front, but just rushing in front of somebody as they scan their ticket is uncalled for.
Yeah.
Unless she would say, she should have at least acknowledged, "Hey, I'm sorry, my family's in the park," or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah. So where'd y'all stay on property?
We stayed at Endless Resort, was it Endless Summer
In the summer.
Surfside.
Yeah.
It was a great hotel. It was there was three beds, so I got to split the cost with my brother, and we all stayed at the resort. There was a restaurant on property, which I didn't feel, I mean, it was like the inflated prices, but I didn't feel it was the exorbitant prices.
Hmm.
Like if I'm gonna buy a pizza, yeah, I'm gonna spend $11 on a personal pizza. It's like it's not that much of a leap than like a Pizza
Right.
Hut, and it's on property.
Right. You're going to pay for the little bit of convenience.
Yeah, and so it was a good time. I feel like this is going to be a Parks heavy episode because we've got Jenny Nicholson's video to talk about too. But I'm going to try to provide like stuff that we haven't talked about before.
Yeah,
But
I started. Yeah, well, I started watching that video, but I only got like 10 minutes in, and I never went back. But yeah, no.
You have
I've
another three
actually
hours and 50 minutes to watch, sir.
I know. I haven't been able to. I haven't committed that much time to it yet, even though I know I should, because it does seem like it's very well. The little bit I've watched is definitely very well produced. But going back to Universal, and then we'll go our weeks, and you know how it is on the Smugglers Galaxy podcast. We jump around, jump around, jump around. Anyway, I'm curious. I was curious how the hotels were because I know I've actually thought about staying at Universal next time I go to Disney, just because the hotels seem so much cheaper, and
Y-
you're like 20 minutes away.
Yeah, it's cheaper, but you don't get the benefits. Like you don't get the bus, you don't get a monorail.
Yeah.
It's just it's. I think it's more convenient to stay at a. I know they're not as cheap as a Universal resort, but like a discounted resort on property, and one that's off of the Skyliner. You can save money, and if you plan your time right, if you plan your trip right, you can get even further discounts because Disney is starting to do like 40% off hotel rates because I think word's gotten out that it's an expensive place, and I didn't feel the resentment that I normally feel at Disney with the Lightning Lane. I
Mhm.
refused to pay for Lightning Lane. We had it for free, and now it's
Oh
like
wow.
they're catering. Well, I mean, Fast Pass. It used to be
Oh yeah,
Fast
yeah.
Pass, which
Well, yeah.
which
It's
was
a
free.
fast pass. It's a different system
It's this.
at Universal.
It's the same. It's a different system. Yes, it's a different program, but it's the same process. It's cutting the line, and
Right.
instead of getting three a day, you have to pay for it, and it's
Yeah.
like you have to have means to pay for that. It's like a caste system. It's like I refuse to participate in their caste system. Like we have money, so we're
Mhm.
gonna look down on you as we pass you. At Universal Studios, that there is a fast pass line. If you stay at some of the premium resorts, you get like I don't remember if it's one free ride on every or a fast pass for every excuse me. If it's uh, a fast pass for every ride once, or if it's
Uh-huh.
universal, like you can just keep going on Spider-Man and get into the fast pass lane. I can't remember which, but you do get one at least for each ride. And there wasn't that many people, so it wasn't a big problem. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, there was times when I would just stand there and wait, and you could see the lightning lane people just continue on, and it's just like it feels it just makes you feel bad. Like
Right.
I didn't pay for it, and those people think they're better than me, or maybe I think I'm worse than them or something. And
Mhm.
at Universal, it's just not a problem. The line kept moving. You would get maybe six or seven people who would get on, and then the line would just keep moving. Whereas at Disney, it's just like people are just paying, and they're just keep going, go, 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 and you have to wait 20 minutes before you move 3 feet.
Right. Yeah. I think Universal has it right. I don't. I've never used the Universal Pass, but I know when it's not as a big deal as it is like you were saying with Disney, because when I was on the Harry Potter ride on the Hagrid's, and all of a sudden you see a group of like 10 people come up and they're like, oh, those are the fast pass people or whatever they call it. And I think with the way Universal does it is you pay like $100, let's say, or it's either $50, $100. It's something basically double the price of the ticket. And then you get whatever, you get the fast pass, and it's just you walk up and you go. It's not timed. Uh, it's not as controlled as Disney is. It's just you walk up to the ride and you say, I've got a fast pass, and they let you go.
Hmm.
Um, so it's not as disruptive as Disney is. And I really, as much as I love Disney, Universal's just a lot calmer experience than Disney is.
It's calmer. I feel better because I don't feel like I'm participating in a greedy company. I mean, all companies want to make a profit, don't get me wrong, and I understand that. But with Disney, it seems exorbitant. It seems too much. Like
Mhm.
if you want to breathe in the air in the parks, it's an extra $20. And I was joking about this yesterday on David Quinn. He posted something, and um, I had I had said like I could see the day where it's like $20 if you want to use the bathroom
Yeah.
because it's just getting to that level of like, where else can we make money in the park? Where's a new
Right.
revenue stream?
Yeah. The only thing that separates Universal from Disney is Disney's got the nostalgia where Universal doesn't have it's got some nostalgia, but like with the Back to the Future ride, it's gone. So I mean, you don't have, you've got the train and you've got the DeLorean, and after that, you're like, okay, I'm done with nostalgia. Let's go ride some rides.
It's got nostalgia. It's also got a built-in fan base, so the kids that went 20 years ago can go back with their
Right.
discretionary funds, and it's acceptable now to be a Disney adult. It's like this is how I explore fandom. This is what I do. I go to Disney World. I ride the parks. I love Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean or whatever the case may be. And you just they just keep going back, like you're saying.
Right.
It's this
And yeah,
cycle.
sorry. And I think Universal, I've got Universal down. I can do both parks, the Islands of Adventure and the old school Universal. I can do that in a day. Um, Whereas Disney, you need 3 or 4 days to do it.
Yeah. We were done
So
by 2 or 3.
yeah,
We did everything we wanted except Kong, which was an hour wait. My nephew was just
Kong
tired.
was an hour wait.
Yeah, my nephew was tired, so we didn't do that. And then Jurassic Park, the whole reason we went was to for the dinosaurs. That was down. It was up early in the morning, but we decided to take a break because my nephew, who's 7, he was kind of coastered out between Harry Potter, the Forbidden Journey, and the Hagrid coaster, and we were like, let's take a break. But by the time it was time to go on to Jurassic Park, it was down.
So that's the only reason I haven't rode that Jurassic Park ride is I don't like water rides because I don't like being soaking wet.
You
But
don't
I'd
get
love to
soaking
do it.
wet. You do get wet at the end, but you don't really get soaking wet. I think if you stand to the right of the ride,
Oh,
outside of it at that drop, there is a big splash, and that's the splash zone, and that's where you get more wet there than you would on the ride.
okay. Um, how'd you like because you didn't get to see you didn't get to see Diagon Alley, but you got to see like the village or whatever for Harry Potter. What did you think
Hogsmeade.
of Hogsmeade? What did you think of that
Yeah,
versus
we
Galaxy's Edge? Because that's the first time you've seen Harry Potter, right?
no,
So
not my
you've
first
never went.
rodeo.
Okay, I didn't know
Yeah,
because it.
we went years ago,
Okay,
pre-pandemic. We're still living in New York when we went. My wife was a big Harry Potter fan, and she thought it was so cool. And I mean, the Josie was probably about 2 or 3, so it was about 10 years ago that we first went to that one.
okay,
We have gone to Diagon Alley too. It's cool. Like Josie went there a week before my youngest, and she went there with her concert, her chorus folk, her students, her classmates, whatever you want to call it. They went as a class trip to Universal, and she bought one of the wands that you can interact with the land. So that was my first time experiencing that, and it's I couldn't help myself. I was walking through. I'm like, this is just like the movie. I wish
right.
Disney had done something like this with Star Wars.
Yeah,
They
I mean,
they
yeah, because
dropped
I
the
watched
ball.
them. Yeah, they did. But anyway, long story short, it was when you were like, you're walking through the Harry Potter world, and then you're like, and after we watch, because I watch the movies after going to Harry Potter because it's like I need to see what I'm looking at, and you're watching the movies going, I've been there, even though you know damn good and well it's a theme park. You're like, I've been there because it's that real.
I don't know
But anyway,
what
go ahead.
Lucasfilm has against the original trilogy, but it seems like they're trying to stay away from it and carve out new stories. But when we're talking about nostalgia and we're talking about discretionary income, definitely the original trilogy people, the high percentage of them have discretionary income. The prequel trilogy people, they're 30, 40 years old now. They're starting to get discretionary income. And then you've got the sequel trilogy where people it just doesn't resonate. And but that seems
Right,
to be the area that they focus on. You know, having Darth Vader walk down Tatooine would be different than having Vi walk down Batuu, the
right.
streets of Batuu, or Kylo Ren. Oh, cool, Kylo Ren, but it's not freaking Darth Vader, the greatest villain in cinematic history.
No, yeah, I think if you had Darth Vader walking through Batuu, it would stop people in their tracks. If you had somebody really good and you had a OG stormtroopers, because even when they did the procession with Captain Phasma, that was incredible because it was like stop what you're doing. They
Yeah.
made they made a big deal about it, and um, I don't know. I think even if they may have done something like that in Batuu, it would be cool because they would be making a big deal about it. I don't know. Yeah. We can get into that in a minute, but
I know they were trying to save money by building two at the same time, but it might have been better if they built one and then realized, oh wait, this isn't resonating. Quickly build Tatooine down in Florida. I mean, even with Harry Potter, they're building different lands from the Harry Potter world to different parks. So it's like, why
right,
can't we get a Tatooine? Disney's, there's rumors Disney's starting to formulate a fifth park. I don't know if that's actually going to be true or not, but they do have land set aside. Put a Tatooine place there, and it's hot Florida sun, so it's going to feel like a desert. And we can have the cantina, and we can have Bantha rides, which was the third ride that was cut from Galaxy's Edge. We can have um Docking Bay 94 and having another Millennium Falcon there, or maybe the Falcon has moved on to Batu, so now there's an X-wing sitting there.
right.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, because with Epic Universe, they're doing Ministry of Magic, so they
Yes,
layered again. Here's a third park in Florida that has yet another piece of the Harry Potter world in it.
but
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, this is more griping about it, but
yeah, like I said earlier, or a year or so ago, or said it before, and I'll keep saying it again. Universal turned me into a Harry Potter fan. Galaxy's Edge, I don't think is going to turn anybody into a Star Wars fan.
and I did see like there was some new piece of content created. It was animated, but Batu was featured in it. And it's like the first time Batu's been featured into content like that.
Huh.
But it needs to be in an episode of Mandalorian or something.
Right. They need to do something. I mean, I know with Resistance, there's a photo of one of the characters' parents and the spires are behind them, but that's as far as it goes.
Yeah.
So anyway, what you pick up for the last couple of weeks? You pick anything up?
A couple things. I did get Gary Weaver's Rogue Fun set. There was a Death Trooper. Willrow Hood is a Rebel Trooper. He's carrying the Peach Death Star plans, and it comes with the Rogue Fun Pink Droid,
Mm-hmm.
which is R2RF maybe, if I remember right. I'm doing this off of memory. On the back, it's got the patch set in yellow, kind of like the vintage Return of the Jedi um step display with all the figures, except that it's just all the patches from the Rogue Fun set. And then it's got our faces at the bottom for the Kennesaw run. And so I was just like, I don't need this.
Oh, I probably needed to buy that then. I remember seeing something, but I don't.
Yeah.
Um,
But so I picked that up, and then at the meetup yesterday, Skippy was selling some stuff, and I was able to pick up some acrylic pieces. So now I have them in acrylic, and they look really, really cool. So
nice.
happy about that. And then just a couple of vintage collection items this week. I didn't find any Micro Galaxy stuff, but I did get the Axe Wolves, the Fleet Commander, and then the Grogu with the Pram. It's all pre-orders, and then the Ahsoka 4-pack, which was an Amazon exclusive with Ahsoka and the three droids.
Mhm.
Was able to pick that up. That finally came in the mail.
Cool.
But I know you got something cooler,
Well,
or is it on the way? You haven't
it's
received it
on
yet?
the way. It'll be here next week.
Okay.
But I picked up some actually by the time this it was released, I should have it. I picked up some Bill and Ted pre-production. It's from I think Toy Biz or Toy Biz. They resin hard copy of the Bill and Ted from that line. So it's a modern pre-production and it's been on eBay for like 3 months and I've been sending the guy offers on and off for like the 3 months. I'll be, oh, he relisted it. Let me throw him an offer. And then at the end of Rogue Fun, I had sent him like a $250 offer, and he replied with like 290, and I was like, and I'll leave it alone because he wanted 350 for him. And then I saw he relisted it, and I said, yeah, just for grins and giggles, let me see if I'll send them because I don't know on eBay, but I guess they set the minimum offer they can take before they deny it.
Yes.
And it kept denying a $200 offer. So Friday, or Thursday or whatever, I just sent him a $200 offer and it went, your offer is submitted. And I went, oh, he changed his offer.
He dropped it.
And in about,
He dropped the price.
yeah, dropped the price. And about 20 minutes later, I get a message from my wife. What did you spend $200 on eBay? And I went, oh, crap. He took the offer.
Nice.
So for some reason, I guess they charged a credit card before they let you know that the offer is accepted. So about 10 minutes later, I start getting, your offer's accepted and stuff. So those should be in next week, which yeah, we'll add to the Bill and Ted case.
Most
I
excellent.
can't. It's one of those things. If I would have let them, if I think if I'd have let them go, I'd be upset because they're resin. You can tell they're a little bit bigger. Uh, Bill has actually got the Van Halen logo on his shirt. The new release doesn't have the Van Halen, like, so he looks exactly like he did in the movies. So I'm pretty excited about that. Or I'm sorry, it's Ted. I always get him confused. I don't know why. Um,
You could do Keanu Reeves or
Alex Winter.
Alex Winter.
Yeah. So the Keanu, which is Ted, has the OU812 logo on it. So I'm kind of it's they're cool looking pieces. I can't wait to get them in my hands. And I keep watching the mail for them, which yeah, I'm excited. It'll hit me when they get here that
Yeah,
I got them. But I also picked up from yesterday. Skippy had the AT-AT, the big blow up Christmas AT-AT
yeah.
that we've been wanting for a couple of years and just couldn't justify the cost. Or you can't, they're hard to find too, on top of that. But she had one and we were able to pick that up for about, she also picked up acrylic and I picked up a Yoda blow up. So my yard's I'm going to have a good Christmas display this year. What else did I pick up? I picked up some really awesome custom galactic heroes from Rebels.
Yeah.
They're so bad, they're awesome.
Yeah, imagine that scene at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark where Tote's face is melting. That's what these figures kind of look like. They're melting.
Yeah, they're like if you ordered your Rebels crew from Wish, that's what these look like.
Yeah.
But there again, I threw the guy like a $30 offer. It's one of those things. They were so bad, I had to have them, and he took the $30 offer on them. But it's like the Zeb. I can't tell which figures he used, but you could tell he did a little bit of putty work or resin work. Did some sculpting to them, and then it's like, man,
A for effort.
yeah, he gets an A for effort. They're one of those where they look so bad you had to have them.
Yeah.
Uh, but they're in my collection, and it's something fun. You gotta sometimes you just gotta buy stuff, and then yeah, it's
Sometimes
just
you just got to buy horrible art.
right, exactly. And
So bad
then
it's good.
so bad it's good. But this goes, so we're preparing for our cruise in October, and Disney, they keep releasing magic bands, and I kept watching magic bands to see what they would release, and they would release the Boba Fett magic band. So I picked that up, and then I'm showing my wife all the magic bands. And just to tell you how bad, this is how bad that the movie Wish must have done. All right. So a magic band is like 35 to 40, $60, depending on what it is. 35 is just a plain magic band. The Wish magic band from the movie Wish was $17.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, I don't care what it says, just buy it for me. And it's a nice looking magic band, but it shows you how bad that movie must have done for them to sell a $45 magic band for $17. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And there again, it's just another way of Disney scout, getting more money out of me, because it's like you got to spend $100 so you can have a room key
Mm-hmm.
for the and a way to spend money. It's like you either hold on to this card we give you, or you can spend $50 and strap it to your wrist.
An easy answer.
Yep.
Just don't leave
So
your magic band inside the room.
exactly. So it stinks because when you 2-3 years before the pandemic, pre-pandemic, they would give them to you.
Yeah. That again, that's another thing that they're suddenly putting behind a paywall, making you pay. And it's why give this to them for free when we can just ask them to pay $30 and they're going to pay for it because they want to get
Right.
into their room.
Exactly. I mean, they would at least they give you a plain one for free, and then if you wanted a special one, they give you the discount, like a $20 discount on it or something. Um, so it was like now all of a sudden whatever. We gripe and moan about Disney, but then we still give them our money, just like other people, just like other companies. But what else did I get? I got some Cosmic Legions come in from a year ago pre-order. So that was kind of nice too. Yeah, Jason is just like, yeah, yawning. He doesn't get the Cosmic Legions or Mythic Legions Four Horsemen stuff. But it comes a point where what else are you going to collect? They're badass looking figures. There's just one guy, he's red, but then he's got metallic and flat paint on him throughout, and it's a badass looking figure.
Hmm. Cool.
One day you'll get one, Jason,
No.
and then you'll be down the rabbit hole.
Nope.
You'll be like, but I could have bought 4 Star Wars things for this.
Nope. Just like your tattoo prediction. Nope.
Nope. Oh, I also got the Starbucks because on the cruise the Cokes and everything are self-serve, so people will bring their own cups. And I've been looking for a cup, and Starbucks had the Hoth cups
Yeah.
because you got the coffee mug, but then they had the tumbler, the Starbucks tumbler. And my wife had saw it. She goes, "Is there a Wampa on it?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "You're buying that one." I'm like, I can't argue with that. That's the one I kind of wanted. I just didn't want to spend $30 on a cup. And
Yeah. That's worth it.
she, yeah. So it's a good. I've been using it around the house. It's a nice looking cup.
Yeah, and that's their new
So,
style. I noticed because I went to Starbucks, obviously in Florida. I go to Starbucks all the time, and they have a new style for their cups for the Florida and the Orlando ones. And same thing for the Georgia cups. It's a new kind of art style. It's not
mhm.
like like a sketchy almost line drawn style with paint slapped on it. It's more geometric and um space age kind of stylish. So it's a whole new line. So if you want to collect, now's the time to get in.
It's almost like I know it's not the right, but it's the tiki style or that one style of the cantina art that came out.
Yeah,
It reminds me a lot of that. I know it's a different
I
it's
I
like
could see some of that.
just
Yeah,
just to the left of that. Do you before we get into the other stuff, do you want to do a dad joke?
sure.
We've got to do it. I've spent money on it. So all right. Oh, I already did one of these. All right. So dad jokes, Star Wars dad jokes by Kelly Cox. Here we go. Oh, look, it's in illustrations by Johnny Sampson. I just realized that. So there's illustrations in this book. So this is from page 47. Let me mark that so that we know we've done it. How did you know the Death Star has ears?
No.
It's true. Engineers.
Okay.
That is
I
hard.
get bent out of shape because it's like that applies to anything.
Right,
Did you know
exactly.
NASA has ears? It's true. Engineers.
Right. And this one is true for this whole book. Why is it difficult to tell jokes about stormtroopers?
Because they never land. No, they never hit. Sorry.
They usually miss the mark.
Oh, okay. That's another way to say what I just said.
Right, exactly. So I don't. Oh, I wish I would have pre-read this book before.
There was a funny meme on Facebook of a stormtrooper pointing a blaster at a red shirt from Star Trek.
Right.
Because the joke is that the red shirts always die in an episode. They're just disposable background characters that'll die. Um, but they can't die if a stormtrooper is pointing a gun at them, but a stormtrooper always misses the mark, so they can't hit. So it's like this paradox because the red shirt needs to die, but the stormtrooper can't hit its mark.
Right.
So I thought it was funny.
And the red shirt's just faking dying or something, right? Or is that a different?
That's a different thing.
Okay.
Anyways,
Yeah,
I
don't
saw
buy the book
The
because
Acolyte's
we just
coming out
wasted.
this week.
Say that again.
The Acolyte's coming out this week.
Yeah, dude, we got. Are you? Do you? We've got passes to the preview
Yes,
in Atlanta,
yes. Jo
so we'll have reports from that.
Josie and I will be going out to dinner, and then we'll be hitting the show.
Yes, that's what, my wife is going to meet me down there, and we're going to go to dinner. I think she was kind of hoping you'd bring your wife, and I'm like, no, he's going to bring one of the kids.
Shan don't care. But I did see some. They're doing the media hype, and they're doing their day where they just talk to the media. And I did see one of the stars talking about Darth Vader and how evil he is. And then he said, but at the same time, Anakin destroyed the Death Star. He blew up the Death Star twice. And it's like, don't talk about being a fan. It's just disingenuous. I understand not everybody's going to be a fan of Star Wars, but don't pretend like you are. If you don't know the
Right.
property, don't pretend that you know the property, or at the very least, go through someone at Lucasfilm and say, hey, look, I've never seen any of the movies. I need a 101. Like Luke Skywalker has been around for 50 years. He's the hero, and he destroys the Death Star once, not twice, because Lando Calrissian destroys it a second time. Definitely not Anakin Skywalker,
Right.
but it just doesn't look good, especially when people have already tried to dismiss the acolyte, and now you've got this actor just showing like it makes him seem like he doesn't care.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna hold my judgment on how woke the acolyte is until I see it because it just I don't know. I get so tired of people like judging things because of the people who directed them. It's like, man, at least watch it and then make your judgment call. I did see like a TikTok of the director of The Acolyte and Dave Filoni talking, and she's at least able to fake it good, but she looked genuine
No, she's a
talking to Dave
fan.
Filoni. Huh?
She's a
She's
fan.
a okay, so you could definitely tell she's a Star Wars fan. Like I said, she's either a Star Wars fan or can fake it. But if she's because she was just like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm talking to Dave Filoni about the Star Wars show I just directed. And it felt genuine. So I'm hoping she does a good job. And people are going to poo poo on it no matter what because it's not our Star Wars. It's like whatever, man. It's an era that we've been needing to get out of the Skywalker era for a long time, and they're finally doing it. Let's watch it and see what happens.
Yeah, the thing, she's the showrunner. I don't know if she's directed any of the episodes, but it's basically like in TV, the showrunner is the most important person on a stage production. The producer is the most, no, the director. Wait, the performer is the most important person. And then in film, the director is the most important person. So in TV, it's the showrunner, and that's what she is. It's her idea. She's the one that tells the writers what to do. She's the one that tells the actors, no, you want to portray it this way. The thing that I'm struggling with is that they promoted it as this like dark, um, this dark X-Files like murder mystery show, and the trailers don't show anything like that. It feels like an episode one kind of movie.
Right.
It doesn't feel like an X-Files, and I'm just like, well, that's not the show that I wanted to see. This is what you said it was, and this doesn't look like the thing that you said it was, and now I'm not sure I want to see it.
Right. It feels like it's the beginning of the Sith, and that's what they're going to show you. Because that I heard something about them like, oh yeah, it's the rule of two, and it's the start of the rule of two, and when you find a what?
The rule of two has been around since Darth Bane. He's the one that did that thousands of years before where we are in the timeline.
Okay, maybe I'm misinterpreting what they were talking about.
Well, maybe whoever the Sith is doesn't have an apprentice.
Right. They were talking about how when you had an apprentice, you had a master and apprentice, the apprentice had to find an apprentice and then they took over the master. Then they took the master out and then it was the two of them. So maybe that's why I'm
Yes.
misreading the rule of two.
No, you're right. But the rule of two has been around for thousands of years. So I would think that maybe the case is that there is a master and it's the apprentice that we're following in the acolyte, and the apprentice is trying to get an apprentice. The thought being that the apprentice will learn everything that the master has to teach, and then
Hmm.
the apprentice will be stronger because the strongest person in the Sith is the master
Right.
until the acolyte, or sorry, until the apprentice comes and kills the master. At that point, the thought is that the apprentice is now stronger than the master, and then now stronger than the master ever was. And to an extent, it is true because the last master of the Sith is Darth Sidious, and no one could defeat him
Hmm.
except, the good side, Luke. But like no other Sith could defeat him. No other apprentice could destroy him because he was the summit. He was the strongest of the Sith.
Okay.
But I was watching episode one, and Mace Windu makes a comment that the Sith has been destroyed for like 1,000 years or something like that. And so they've got to walk this fine line because we're only 100 years out from
Right.
episode one. So they can't the Jedi, if the Jedi realize it's Sith, they've got to die. Otherwise, there's a plot hole in episode one. And you just don't undo what George did. He's the North. He's the true North.
Right.
Don't mess anything up. So if they find out it's Sith, they have to die. The secret needs to be kept. Don't mess that up because when episode one rolls around, the Jedi believe the Sith has been destroyed for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
only
No.
that's the only expectation at this point. Like, yeah, it's not the show that I thought it was going to be, but at the end of the day, like it bothers me that we don't get the Force Ghost stuff in the prequels, that it's regulated to like the last 2 minutes of episode three. Oh, there's something else I got to teach you. Okay, bye.
Right.
That's what it feels like, and they even forgot about Obi-Wan having the lightsaber. That was a pickup in reshoots in episode three because they forgot that Obi-Wan Kenobi is supposed to have the lightsaber. So that's why there's that quick shot of Obi-Wan walking by and grabbing the lightsaber and walking off.
Uh-huh.
It was a pickup shot. Who knows? Maybe that's not even Ewan McGregor. It's someone else.
Right. Hey, kid, put the uniform on.
Yeah. All this to say, that's my only expectation at this point for the Acolyte is the Jedi must not know it's the Sith.
Mhm. I mean, there is that one shot, and it may be the way that it's edited for the trailer of him igniting that red lightsaber and all the Jedi going, "Oh crap, what is that?" Uh, but
Yeah, and I'm not sure how I feel about the lightsaber whip, the light whip.
that's been around for a minute.
I know it's one thing to be in
That
someone's mind, but to see it on screen, we'll see. I got to see the content, the context it's
wasn't
used.
wasn't that in it's in one of it's in an EU book. I thought it might have been in Thrawn when I'm thinking about it, but I know Luke, it's after Luke and Mara Jade get together. When Luke goes to battle somebody with a light whip, he actually gets a shorter, he goes into the double lightsaber mode like Ahsoka to battle the light whip.
Yeah.
But I don't remember which book it is. It's just it's in the back of my mind and I have it, it's been 20 years since I've read the book.
Oh,
But the light whip's been around for a minute.
okay.
Yeah.
I got to see it in action. It's obviously something we older folks struggle with, something new, something fresh and hip. It's like, slow down. Back in my day, we didn't have the light whip.
Hammer. I'm going to yell at clouds because I'm mad.
Yeah, so that could be playing a part of it too, but we'll see. I'm
Yeah.
I'm excited to see Star Wars on the big screen. I'll tell you that
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, I hope they do something more than just show us the movie, but I guess we'll see. Cool. So what else did you want to talk about? Do we have time to talk about
Yeah, what time did we start? How long have we have
I've been about an hour.
oh
We're right at an hour.
yeah, we could talk about Jenny because so I have never I was talking to Tony yesterday, Tony Johnson. He likes Jenny Nicholson and he's been a fan of hers, and he was telling me that she saw The Last Jedi early and she was trying to be like one of the first people on YouTube to provide a review, and she loved it.
Mm,
That didn't age well for her. I'm a fan of The Last Jedi, by the way. It's just for the most part, people aren't a fan of it. And then she didn't like Rogue One, so she had some characterization that she didn't like or something like that.
mhm.
But she did go on the Starcruiser. She made a 4-hour video. She's been working on this for months. She
Right.
she was going to post a review of the Starcruiser, but then she decided to shift it a little bit to be a like a post-mortem on the Starcruiser. And it's a really well done thing. I would recommend, like, if you can't watch 4 hours, it doesn't even feel like 4 hours. It goes by so fast. It's like Return of the King. It just doesn't feel like 4 hours. It's all great points. It's really well done. She's got video examples. It's not easy to pull that stuff together. There's 20 parts that she puts together. Um, it sounds like, and I'm very happy with, first of all, the review that she did. I feel like it was fair, but I'm also
Mhm.
happy because Disney sorry to keep going on this, but Disney doesn't seem to pay attention to anything that's not a stock price or
Right.
spreadsheet. It's like you need to start listening to the people, and the people out there are saying that Disney's too expensive, that they just don't care about the guest anymore. It's all about making an extra buck. And maybe pump on the brakes on making that extra buck. Maybe just do the right thing. And when you start providing a good product at a great price, people will come back and they will come back and give you more of their money than you would trying to bleed them of the money.
Right.
People need to want to give you the money, not be forced and be bitter the fact that they have to give you an extra 20. There's
Right.
a difference.
Hence why I think Universal is going to take over Disney real quick.
But she makes a lot of good points, stuff that we've talked about, how and the best part is part 20 because she uses all of the like D23 speeches that Disney executives made about how we're going to have aliens walking around Galaxy's Edge and everybody starts clapping. We're going to have droids walking around Galaxy's Edge and people start clapping. And even more, there's going to be a game where, if you do something wrong, the people in the cantina will know that you did something wrong and they'll say to you,
Right.
"Why'd you do that wrong?" Or there'll be a bounty hunter that's chasing after you because you don't have the loyalty points or something like that.
Right. You crashed the Millennium Falcon and they're going to look at you and be like, Hondo's mad at you.
Right. And so there's all these executives making all these promises. And at the end of the day, they stripped all of that away and they put it
Hmm.
behind a paywall for $6,000 for 3 nights at a
For two
hotel.
nights.
Well, yeah, it's 2 nights, 3 days. But she's talking about why, it's you start in the afternoon. It's because these employees do 8-hour shifts, so they have to start late on the first day.
Hmm.
And then when you go to the park on the second day, it's because all those employees, all those actors need time off, obviously. So when you come back, that's the start of the next 8 hours. So you're gone from the morning until about 2 or 3 or 4.
Hmm.
And then that's when the next 8 hours starts. And then the reason why the last day, the last morning, you have to leave by whatever time, it's because, again, it's the 8 hours. And then for that second you leave and then another shift comes in and it's probably a whole new cast. It's probably like three
Right.
days on, 3 days off, something like that. But um she thought the price was too high. She thought at max it'd be $1,000, but she thought $800 was fair, so everything else was just exorbitant.
Hmm.
And I thought, and so this is stuff that we've talked about. I thought the thing that, I don't have the experience being on the Starcruiser. The thing that I felt like she was on point on was, or had the most value as someone who wasn't there, was talking about her experience and how the game didn't work for her. She spent the first
Right.
day trying to figure out which storyline to insert herself in, how to become involved with the storyline. She dressed up and she created a character, but it seemed to conflict with, I'm sure if you register as Jason, and then if I go over there, my name is Darth Thomas or something like that. The people have earpieces, so there must be some connection between the magic band and their earpiece. So when you walk up, it'll say like Jason, and they have to remember that your name is Darth Thomas, which is probably some sort of conflicting. They're struggling. They're trying to put on a performance, and now on top of that, they need to remember your character name, which is an added difficulty, an added level of difficulty. So she tried to do that and she felt dejected because she was trying to be in universe. She was trying to participate in the game. And they just felt like she was creating more of a hassle for these actors.
Hmm.
So she struggled with that because she wanted to bleed Star Wars. And it was just like, no, you got to calm down a little bit. And so her fandom, she had to pull back, which is not something you want to do. A lot of the
Right.
games were rudimentary. Like you would go into the engine room, and it's just like these simple games made for 5 years old, 6 year old, 10 year olds. It's not something for adults.
Hmm.
Simple games on the bridge, um, games that have been around for 40, 50 years, like early Atari games, basically been
Wow.
updated for Star Wars. I'm trying to they're not
Right.
Atari games, but I'm just trying to tell you, like those
Right.
basic, like Pong, like that's not Pong, the one where it bounces back and forth, and you've got to try to break all of the blocks below.
It's like Blockbuster or Ballbuster or
Something
something.
like
Yeah, but
that.
I know. Yeah,
Games like that, but it's been repurposed for the bridge.
jeez. I want to stop you real quick. I definitely felt I was too big of a Star Wars nerd for like, well, maybe not going the first time I went to Galaxy's Edge, but the second time a year, like 2 years later, I definitely felt like it was like, whoa, buddy, wait up a minute. I am not prepared for a Star Wars nerd to be in here.
Yeah. Hmm.
And it's some points at the beginning when I first went, because I'd asked like the guy, hey, do you have any death sticks? And he's like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about.
I just work here, man.
Right. So it's like I definitely felt that even at Galaxy's Edge, like, dude, slow your roll. You are too big of a Star Wars nerd to be here.
And she talked about that, how she on the bridge of this, or on the Starcruiser itself, how she expected the actors to act, to be part of, she wanted to be part of the ensemble. She wanted to be part of the play. She wanted to be part of the game. But when she went to Galaxy's Edge and tried to maintain that character, people looked at her weird. And she's like,
Right.
I get it. You just work here. You're not an actor. I probably shouldn't put that on you. So she completely understood, like, they're not getting paid the same rate as an actor.
Mhm. But you would think, I know they have pins or whatever when you go into Galaxy's Edge, that the people there should have been like, oh, wait a minute, you're on the Star Cruiser. Let me act up a little bit. And that's going back to Harry Potter world. When you're in Harry Potter world, everybody's on all the time.
Yeah.
It's not like that in Galaxy's Edge.
She talked about there's games that you can play at Epcot. It used to be a Kim Possible, then it turned into Phineas and Ferb. There's the platypus game, and then it was DuckTales, where you would go around and you would try to find a scavenger hunt. But when you would accomplish something, maybe at Germany, the clock opens up, and then you see the Huey, Dewey, and Louie pop out with Scrooge McDuck, and they do some sort of, instead of birds, it's just them on rotation or something. But something happens.
Right.
When she went to Galaxy's Edge, it was scanning QR codes, and then it was all phone based. You would play games on your phone, and then maybe you might hear a noise, but like there was no really interactive element. It was just like, again, they cut costs. It's not as fun as it could have been. She felt cheated. She felt like the cost was just not fair. It was way too much money for too little.
Right.
Um, but she was also being, and this video's gone viral. I would imagine, Disney executives need to pay attention and to listen, because I think it's important that they listen to what people are saying, because the conversation is not what they think it is in the boardroom.
Right.
Stock prices are great. Well, you probably have a 10-year problem. Things look great now, but eventually they're going to become bitter and angry, and they're going to move away from Disney. And then we're going to need a new CEO to come in and replace whoever comes next,
Yeah.
because they're not doing the thing that they need to do.
Yeah. I mean, because his answer, who is, it's not Bob who's the
Chapek's
CEO right now?
gone. A lot of this problem was Chapek's, because he's the one that was like, cut costs, give him the bare minimum, and we'll keep all the, and we'll charge him $2 billion. So Bob Iger came back, and he had to right the ship, and they started stripping things away, like paying at resorts to park.
Yeah. But so Iger has said, I mean, because they've asked, hey, look, Epic Universe, and they're like, oh yeah, we've been dealing with Epic Universe for 10 years. It's like, no, you haven't.
No, no, you haven't. You've been doing the
As soon
bare
as that,
minimum to get by.
right, as soon as that Epic Universe opens up, I have a feeling Disney's going to be hurting, because that I am not, I mean, the Harry Potter world looks great, and I'm not a fan of any of those like Universal monsters. I'm like, oh, I'll go that looks cool. Uh, that would probably be the second. Everything that they're putting in that park, I'm kind of like, oh, that looks like fun. And then you see the rides, and you're like, oh crap.
And at this point, I think it'd be great if Universal did become the number one destination. I don't think that's going to happen, because it's the Magic Kingdom, and when you look at the numbers of people going to the Magic Kingdom, it's just incredibly more. It's like
Mhm.
double-digit millions, where Universal, it's like 7 million people visited Universal, whereas it's like 23 million people visit the Magic Kingdom. But Disney has rested on their laurels, and they don't feel like they need to do much more of what they've done, because they've got this built-in loyalty. And it'd be good for someone to come in and shake things up and make Disney become competitive and make them think again and be imaginative and be like, we need to wow them and not cut the corners and make something special.
Right.
I do like that, Jenny was being interviewed by Rolling Stone. I do like how, like, again, this is getting big and it's going to force people to pay attention and listen to her. Um, I also don't like influencers, and Jenny's not really one of the influencers I'm talking about, but Disney does put a lot of energy into pleasing the influencers. But I've seen reports where there was an influencer on the Starcruiser who was just incredibly rude and being obnoxious and swinging lightsabers and knocking into the guests. And I feel like Disney needs to lead by example. And at the very least, like if you want to play ball with Disney, you need to sign this uh, uh, promise of conduct or something like that, or some guidelines where it's like, don't don't impede the experience of guests. Be polite, be kind. Don't be loud. Do your thing. Eat your stupid dessert on top of the trash can, but
Right.
don't knock into people.
I'm sorry, you do see people, influencers that are like trying to get a rise out of people. And I've seen them start to kick those people out, but then there's people who do it nonchalantly and they talk about controversial topics at Disney World just to get a rise out of people.
Yeah. She talks about how those influencers were invited on for like a media day, but it was only a 4 hour experience and it was abbreviated. And she used Tim Tracker. Tim has gone back and he paid for, I think, a full stay. But for the most part, most of those influencers, they didn't pay and they were given a free 4 hour experience. They got dinner, they got lunch and all that stuff. And they came off and they didn't really say that they were there for 4 hours. They just said it was an incredible experience. It's definitely worth the money. They didn't pay the money.
Right.
And they were goaded on by Disney. And it's misleading and it's horrible for a company to fool people into believing something that's not true.
Well, it's just like what they did with Galaxy's Edge in the preview of Galaxy's Edge, where all of a sudden there's all these film crews there, and oh look, it's Ray on top of this where they have the speeders, and there's a show there that's going to happen every hour, and it's like, where's my show? Where's my uh stormtroopers? Or you know what I mean? It's very misleading, and it stinks. And well, even as far as when they did the Galaxy's Edge, they had the drones, the X-wing drones flying overhead.
Yeah. That was a one and done. That show, by the way, was moved to the Star Cruiser
Yeah, that's just
behind the
why.
paywall.
Yeah, it sucks when there's something you love so much that just pisses you off at the same time.
Yeah. And so I, I just want them to do better. I'm just tired of these influencers eating dessert, talking with their mouth open on top of some trash can, uh adding zero I can't even think of the word. Hold on.
Oh, and you're better with words than me, so I can't or content or goodness or I don't
Value.
know.
They're adding
Value. There you
zero
go.
value to anything. They're just, I like this. This is good. You guys should try. It's like you're not a chef. You're not talking
Right.
about the elements of the food. You're just, this is good. Watch me. Subscribe, like,
Right. Hit that like button.
add value. You're a dime a dozen. There's nothing
Right.
special about you. Your personality's not that great. And if I want to, I just go to the next person who'll say this exact same thing. Do something special.
Right.
Do something different and don't be obnoxious. Anyways,
Yeah.
anyways, I've
Anyway,
said too much this episode.
right. No, and you're doing a great job, Jason. But yeah, no, I'm mad I didn't get to go, or upset more than mad that I didn't get to go on the Star Cruiser because I would have enjoyed it, but I don't want. I think I would have been one of those where you're spending $6,000 to go and you'd be disappointed after 2 days because I mean even. Disney's expensive, don't get me wrong. But it's like, and I know I don't want to keep bringing up the cruise, but when you look at like a Disney cruise, it was like 4K. It's basically $1,000 a night. And I think the value's there because you're going to get a different experience than if you go like Royal Caribbean or Carnival. That that I think that you're going to get a better experience. But I can report back when I get back in October. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the value would have been there on the Starcruiser
Probably
for
not.
me
We got to ask
because it
Doug.
would. Yeah, because you literally it to do the Starcruiser right, you would have had to been on 24/7 as a fan. I think to get your money out of it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to keep going down the same road, but again, people were saying like, well, you have to use the app. You can't talk to actors and get on a storyline. But then there was another subset of people saying you have got to talk to the actors. You can't use the app because she was trying to do both. And it's like you need to invest all your time into the app. Well, that doesn't work for some people. And it was just like maybe at the end of the day, that's the real reason why Disney canceled the thing because yeah, you could insert the Mandalorian, but if the game isn't working for people, or if it's only working for 30% of the people, and the prices are too high, and we can't fill the Star Cruiser, the hotel rooms, what's the point of keeping this thing open? Why invest more money into trying to fix this thing?
Right. Well, I think all you had brought up a point about the app, and I think that may be the biggest difference, I think, between Disney and Universal. Disney, you are always on your phone. And I don't think you are on Universal.
No,
If you
you're
it,
not.
it,
You're
it
right. I wasn't on my phone at all at Universal, and I really appreciated that.
yeah, I mean the only time I was on maybe on the phone at Universal was like I want to go ride this ride across the park. Let me see what the wait is.
Yeah.
So you were checking wait times, but you weren't because I remember even in 2019 when my wife and I went, you were in line and you're on your phone trying to book your next fast pass, or you're watching and you're like, oh, we can go do, you know what I mean? So you're constantly on your phone at Disney, and you're not or it doesn't feel like you are at Universal.
But anyways, that's our show. I don't know. Do you have anything else? I'm really excited about our next episode, but I won't tease it. I'm just gonna, I guess I just did tease it, but I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say what it is.
something Jason really likes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. That'll be another Jason heavy episode because yeah, it's a Jason thing. But it's okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's good. Just feed me some questions.
Um, anything else?
No, I think that's it. I don't want to read another dad joke because they suck.
Yeah.
So what is it? Joe Fest is coming up at the end of the month. You'll be out of town the same weekend. It's like the 22nd, I think.
Yep.
And then they moved so just real quick, toy stuff. They moved Joe Lana to the Gwinnett Convention Center up off of 85 near the Gwinnett Arena. So that would lead me to believe that they're going to do the same thing to Toylanta, which hopefully will do good for Toylanta. Give it more room, be a more open space where you don't have to run around corners to find people.
Let's hope
Fingers
so.
crossed.
Let's hope so.
So I don't know if I'm going to go to Joanna just to see what it's like. I guess we'll see. It'll depend on what I have going on that weekend. I think it's the end of September, like September. I have to look it up, but it's towards the end of September. So hopefully there's good things in line for that show, and they can compete with some of the national shows
Uh,
or more local shows, or not local shows, area shows.
and this is something I've said before, but they've got Jolanta and they've got Toylanta. I hope they don't give G.I. Joe the priority during Toylanta. It's fine if they're there, but don't make them the centerpiece because it's like they already have their own show. This Toylanta should be for the other toys.
Right.
Jolanta should be for Joe.
Yes. So
So,
I'm hoping they'll do something like that too.
and I think it's like, and it's fine if they're there. It's just don't make them the center of the room to make the room seem so empty because everyone pays attention to stuff on the outside. In the middle, it's just a ghost town because people are into the Joe stuff. You can freely walk past, and on the outside, you're crammed. You're trying to get around things. It's like for better room flow, at least, move that around a little bit, space them
Yeah.
out. So some of them are on the outside and some of them are on the inside.
Right. So hopefully it'll be one big room when it comes around next year, or a couple of big rooms. So instead of having to, where's the next room, or I missed half the show because I didn't know where I was going, it'll be a good thing.
But speaking of shows, thank you for listening to the Smugglers Galaxy podcast. If you could, please leave a like and a 5-star review of the show anywhere you listen to podcasts. Really helps us out and points people to our show. Follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Send us an email or message us. We love feedback. We love to make you part of our show. Our email address is smugglersgalaxy@gmail.com. Thank you to Alfonso Riviera for the Smugglers Galaxy logo. Thank you to Levi Waterhouse for the music. People collect for the love of it. Hashtag vote with your wallet. Sabine will be on next week. Pass on what you've learned. Be a positive force in the collecting community. This is the way.
This is the way.